He had seen men die in every manner the desert could invent, but never had Wyatt Cole felt death breathe, so close as the moment he found the girl. Beneath the burning Arizona sun, the air itself trembled, a strange silence rolling through the canyon as if the land were holding its breath. Her body lay twisted in the dust, her bronzed skin streaked with sweat and blood, her long black hair tangled like a shadow against the earth. He knelt because something inside him said she wasn't meant to die. Not yet. Maybe not ever. And when her eyes flickered open for a split second, filled with terror and a plea she didn't have breath to speak, Wyatt felt the ground shift under his boots. Something old. Something dangerous. Something that had already begun. He didn't know her name then. Didn't know she carried the weight of an entire people on her shoulders. Didn't know sacred law had already written his fate the moment he touched her. All he knew was the sun was dropping fast, and whichever devils had left her for dead would be coming back with the night. Wyatt lifted her gently, feeling her pulse flutter weakly against his fingers. Whoever she was, the desert had almost claimed her, but not if he could help it. He carried her to the riverbank, letting the cool water touch her lips. She stirred, whispering something in Apache too soft to catch. Her hand clutched his shirt with the last scraps of strength she had left before. She went still again. A storm of dust appeared on the horizon riders. Wyatt's grip tightened on his gun. He was a stranger in Apache land, and there were only two fates for a white man found alone with one of their own. None good. But when the riders came thundering in, they didn't shoot. Instead, they stopped in a circle around him, their faces carved from stone. The eldest dismounted, a chief with lines on his face like cracks in the earth. His voice was deep, ancient, and sharp as a blade. "Why does a white man carry the daughter of my blood?" Wyatt didn't move. Found her hurt. Someone tried to kill her. Murmurs rippled through the warriors. The chief stepped closer, eyes narrowing at Wyatt, searching, measuring. "She lives because you shielded her. Because your hands brought her back to breath." The chief's voice chilled the wind. "This is not a small thing. It is a binding thing." Wyatt frowned. "What does that mean?" The chief answered with a truth Wyatt was not ready for. "You have saved the daughter of Chief Tahoma. Under sacred law, she belongs to you now, unless you refuse her and face the consequences." Wyatt looked down at the unconscious girl. She looked young, brave, beautiful, and, now in some way tied to him by a law he never asked for. "I don't want to claim something that ain't freely given." "It is not a choice," the chief said. "It is the law of our ancestors." Before Wyatt could speak again, the girl's fingers twitched. Her eyelids trembled. She looked up at him, confusion swirling in her dark eyes. Before she whispered, something faintly in Apache, something that made every warrior around them tense. The chief inhaled sharply. "She said your spirit touched hers while she walked between life and death." Wyatt swallowed hard. "And what's that mean?" "It means," the chief said slowly, "you are bound now. If you leave her, she dies." Wyatt felt a jolt run through him, real and cold. The land itself seemed to shift around that truth. Nightfall came fast after that. They brought the girl, Nayeli, the chief finally told him, into the canyon village. Wyatt stayed only because they insisted, but the weight of 1,000 eyes stayed on him. He wasn't a prisoner. He wasn't a guest. He was something else entirely. Inside a medicine lodge lit with flickering firelight, the tribe's shaman examined Nayeli while Wyatt sat in the shadows. When the old man finally turned to him, his eyes were dark and unreadable. "She was attacked by men who wear the blue coats," the shaman said. "Soldiers." Wyatt's jaw tightened. "Why soldiers?" "For this." The shaman lifted a small leather pouch from Nayeli's dress. Inside was a carved stone disc etched with symbols older than any map. "This is the stone of echoing spirits. It belonged to her mother. The soldiers believe it leads to Apache gold." Wyatt cursed under his breath. He had seen greed drive men to madness before. Gold had drowned entire towns in blood. The shaman tied the pouch back to Nayeli's clothing. "You must guard her now. The law binds your spirits. If she dies, you will lose part of yourself. If you abandon her, the ancestors will take the rest." Wyatt wasn't superstitious, but something deep inside him recognized truth when he heard it. Hours later, Nayeli awoke, weak, disoriented. She turned her head toward Wyatt as if she already knew he was there. "You carried me," she whispered. "I wasn't going to leave you in the desert," he said quietly. Her eyes softened. "My father says I belong to you now." Wyatt stiffened. You don't owe me anything. That is not what the law says, she murmured. He shook his head. The law ain't right. Naily studied him long and hard. The law is older than right or wrong. It is what keeps the balance. You were meant to find me. Wyatt didn't believe in destiny. Never had. But something in her voice, the certainty, the softness made his heart stutter. Before he could speak, shouts erupted outside. Torches flared. Horses thundered near the canyon gate. Soldiers. Gunshots cracked through the night. Wyatt grabbed his revolver.
Stay behind me.
No, Naily whispered. I stand with you. The two slipped out into chaos. Soldiers were pushing into the canyon, rifles blazing. The Apaches fought fiercely, but the narrow walls trapped them. Wyatt shot the first soldier he saw, grabbing Naily's arm as they ducked behind a boulder. More bullets whined past them. The chief's booming shout echoed through the canyon, rallying his people. But then a soldier spotted. Naily yelled, "There! The chief's girl, take her alive!" Wyatt fired again, hitting him square in the chest. More soldiers rushed forward. Too many. The Apaches were being pushed back. "Wyatt!" Naily cried as a bullet skimmed his shoulder. He gritted his teeth and pulled her behind another outcropping. "We gotta get out of here." "They want me," she whispered. "They want the stone. And they ain't getting you." They fled toward a narrow path leading out of the canyon. The moonlit desert stretched before them. But the soldiers followed, firing wildly. A bullet smashed into the rocks beside Naily's head. Wyatt tackled her to the ground. Dust exploded around them. She gasped, and he felt her hands tremble against his chest. "This way!" he urged, dragging her behind a cluster of boulders. But as they ran, a soldier lunged from the shadows, slamming into Wyatt and driving him into the dust. The man's knife gleamed under the moon. Wyatt rolled, grabbing the soldier's wrist as the blade slashed inches from his throat. They struggled, boots digging into the earth. The soldier snarled, pressing down. Then Naily's scream cut the night. She struck the soldier from behind with a fallen branch. It shattered, but the blow stunned him long enough for Wyatt to seize his gun and fire. The soldier collapsed. Wyatt rose, breath ragged. Naily's hands shook as she reached for him. "Are you hurt?" "I'm fine." He grabbed her hand. "Come on." They ran again, up a ridge, across stone, toward the hiding place she said her mother once used during raids. By the time they reached it, both were bleeding, out of breath, and shaking from adrenaline. Wyatt slumped against the cave wall. Naily leaned beside him, her shoulder brushing his. The cave was silent except for their breathing. "You should not have risked yourself for me," she whispered. "You think I'd let them take you?" Wyatt said. "Not a chance." She turned to him slowly. "Do you believe the law binds us?" Wyatt hesitated. "I don't know what I believe." Naily's eyes searched his. "Then listen." She placed her hand over his heartbeat. "In our law, when a man saves a woman's life, her spirit ties to his. If one is hunted, the other feels the danger. If one is wounded, the other feels the pain." Wyatt swallowed hard. "That's some kind of myth?" "It is truth," she whispered. "I felt you when I was between life and death. Your spirit is strong. It called me back." He didn't know what to say. Wyatt Cole had lived his whole life alone, drifting from place to place with nothing tying him down. No roots, no promises, no future. But now this woman, this fierce, brave, beautiful woman, claimed their souls were woven together by something older than time. And he felt it too. A pull, a certainty, a danger he couldn't walk away from. Before he could speak, her expression shifted, fear flickering through her eyes. "Wyatt, the stone. It is glowing." He looked down. The carved disc inside her pouch pulsed with a faint, eerie light. Then footsteps echoed outside the cave. Soldiers. Wyatt pressed a finger to his lips. Naily nodded, gripping his hand. The footsteps came closer, two men whispering, searching. Wyatt waited until their shadows crossed the entrance. Then he struck. The fight was brutal, fast, desperate. Wyatt shot one soldier before the man even realized he was there. The second lunged, knocking Wyatt backward. They crashed into the cave floor, grappling for control. The soldier snarled, "Where is the girl? Where is the gold map?" Wyatt slammed his fist into the man's jaw. "Ain't no gold." The soldier swung wildly. Wyatt ducked, pinned him, and struck again. The man went limp. Breathing hard, Wyatt rose. Naily hurried to him, her eyes wide with worry. "You are hurt," she whispered, touching his bloody lip. He caught her hand gently. Takes more than that to put me down. Outside, distant shouts told them more soldiers were coming. Wyatt looked at the horizon. We can't stay here. Nayeli nodded. Then we run together. They fled into the night across ridges through brush, down into the open desert where dawn slowly tinged the sky pink and gold. Exhausted, battered, bound by something neither fully understood. When the first rays of sunlight broke over the cliffs, Nayeli stopped. Wyatt turned to her. She faced him with quiet certainty. Our lives are tied now. Not because of the law, not because of destiny, because you chose to save me. Wyatt's heart thudded hard. And I'll keep choosing it. Far behind them, the war cries of Apache warriors rose as Chief Tahoma, and his men clashed with the remaining soldiers. The canyon echoed with fate reshaping itself. Nayeli stepped closer, placing her hand in Wyatt's. Then wherever you go, I go. And with the desert sun rising behind them, casting long shadows across the sand, Wyatt Cole understood the truth. He had saved the Apache chief's daughter. Now sacred law and something far deeper said she was his forever. And he didn't want it any other way.